Hi and welcome. Today I'm going to give you 5 healthy starch alternatives when you're managing type 2 diabetes. We tend to like the majority of our food as starch, like rice, pasta and potatoes, and sometimes carbohydrates that we're eating as well. Certain carbohydrates, not the complex carbs, but the simple carbs, also spike your blood sugar. Now, a lot of people are, at least 50%, believe it or not, are pre-diabetic, and some of us don't even know it. And if you didn't see my video yesterday, watch it as it comes up next, where you will learn how to reverse type 2 diabetes naturally, what it really takes in terms of your diet. And there is much to know, and I'm looking for 10 people who are seriously committed to wanting to overcome diabetes. Click the link in below after this video to get all the details so that I can work with you to help you get through this, because it is absolutely reversible and the science tells us this, but there's a lot of people that are still unaware or they have doubts. So let me talk about the 5 types of foods, but in a moment, just before we do, I want you to stay to the end, because I'm going to give away one of my best kept secret recipes. I'm fessing up today. I've kept this to myself. People have praised me for this recipe, and it's a brilliant starch alternative for people suffering with type 2 diabetes, or those who will just love this. And I'm going to keep it a secret to the end, so watch as I go through the slides now to give you these 5 starch alternatives. And we're going to start with something called Bulgar wheat. Now, Bulgar wheat is actually a grain that is an ancient grain, in fact, and it is one of the lowest carb grains available. It's much better to eat for someone with diabetes compared with pasta or couscous and white rice, and it causes less of a spike in the blood sugar due to its high fiber content. Bulgur takes longer to digest, which is why blood sugar levels remain stable, and it's absolutely delicious wheat. And I will do a live showing you how to prepare this Caribbean style. Let's go to the next slide. And this is whole wheat spelt bread. Now, you might have seen the live where I prepared spelt bread in 3 ways, very simply, very easily. And this is a whole wheat spelt bread, which is again an ancient grain which maintains all its minerals even after milling, unlike white conventional grains. Now, baked goods hide away high level of sugar, processed flour, sodium and preservatives that are not diabetic friendly. And spelt grains, whole wheat, high fiber, control sugar and may help reduce the risk of developing type 2 diabetes. Now, the next one is pea pasta. Now, whilst this isn't a grain, I wanted to show you this one because it's a great alternative to durum wheat and semolina wheat. You can get pea pasta in places like Sainsbury's, and I'm sure you can get it online in other places as well. Now, pea pasta is a great substitute for wheat flour. It's healthier due to the low glycemic index, so it makes a great alternative. The next one is millet. Now, millet has a new study which shows eating millet can reduce the risk of developing type 2 diabetes. So it's a great preventative food as well and helps manage blood glucose levels in people with diabetes. So those are my 5 healthy starch alternatives that you can implement in your diet today. Now, I'm going to give you my secret recipe and let me show you what I'm going to be doing. I'm going to be making a spelt roti wrap. Now, if you know from my videos and you understand that I do things simply and I do things quickly, but I cook with nutrition in mind, but with ease. No complications, but delicious, wholesome food. So I'm going to do a spelt roti wrap in minutes. No waiting around, none of that waiting for it to sit and all the rest of it. It's going to be pliable, it's going to be delicious, and I'm going to do it with a curry which I've already prepared. Right, now let's get started on the ingredients. Over here, I've got about 90 grams of wholemeal spelt flour, and I've got a bowl of sea moss gel. This is purple sea moss gel. Now, for those of you who do not know what sea moss is, it's a sea algae. This is I've actually made it into a jelly, as you can see. It's quite thick in its consistency, and it's full of minerals. Our bodies contain 102, and this lovely sea algae contains 92 of the minerals that our body is composed of. It's great for your energy levels, and I use it in a lot of my cooking. And here's what it looks like in its raw form before you prepare it into a gel. You can get various species of sea moss. I've got here the purple sea moss, which is wildcrafted from the Caribbean Sea, and these are known as Gracilaria. And this is the golden sea moss. They come in different colours and hues, but they all contain the vital minerals that our bodies so need. And iodine is one of them, which is great for brain health. Right, so let me show you how I'm going to put this together. One more thing, which is this ingredient, which is just the coconut oil, which I'm going to use to brush my pan when I'm making the roti. So we're going to start with putting the flour in the bowl. That's 90 grams. Now, I've never really measured out the amount of sea moss gel I need. So I'm going to start with a 1/4 cup of sea moss gel. I'm going to start with a 1/4 cup, which might actually be enough. It may be all I need. Let's see. You don't need water, okay? Absolutely no water in this recipe at all. And if you want to add salt, you can, but I'm telling you now, you absolutely don't need it, because spelt has a flavour all on its own. It's absolutely delicious once it's prepared. And I'm trying to cut down on salt at the moment. Diabetes and blood pressure are on the rise, so I'm trying to eliminate a lot of sodium from my diet where possible. If it doesn't need it, don't add it. So let's have a go with this. Give this a good mix.
We have a comment from Yumi who says, "Good evening, Anthony and Carol." Good evening, Yumi. Thank you for joining us.
Good evening, Yumi. Thank you for joining us. Nice to have you back here again. Yumi, I'm sharing a secret recipe. People have praised me for my roti for years, and I've kept quiet. I really have no fuss in my kitchen, no faffing, very simple, nutritious, easy dishes that people can do themselves at home. So let me see. I'm going to put my gloves on because I want to see whether I have enough moisture to make the dough. So I'm just going to slip my gloves on quickly and get my hands in there, see if I can actually form a dough with this, because we don't want to make it too wet. So if you see, it's actually starting to stick together. Now this may well be enough. So this was just 1/3 of a cup of sea moss gel to 90 grams of whole wheat spelt flour. Look at that. So it's already formed into a dough. And believe it or not, it's the sea moss gel that's going to make this roti really, really pliable. All right, just manipulate it in your hand to soften it up. And that's the difference between, you know, the traditional way of doing the roti, or you could just call it a wrap. But you'll see when I finished how much like roti it is. And when people started saying, I love your roti. So I thought, okay, it's roti. Right, so that's it. All right, that's it. It's in a nice dough form there. Right. Now I'm just going to dust my board over here. Let me get it under the camera so you can see. Let's pop this out of the way. Dust the surface so it doesn't stick. Just manipulate that a little bit more. We want a nice round roti wrap. Now, sea moss gel is virtually no flavour at all, okay? When you're soaking your sea moss overnight, and I have a video on how to make sea moss gel, you can actually put lime or lemon in the water to get rid of that kind of sea smell from the sea moss. But I love it, I don't mind it. And it doesn't actually taint your food when you're cooking with it, which is great. I find it's a miracle food. Just keep turning it to get the size you want as well. I'm just making a mini roti just to give you an idea. And this could just serve one. It's just a little bit harder to work than white flour. But Spelt is such an amazing mineral dense flour, and when you taste this, you know, just the little bit of extra work that goes into rolling it is so worth it. Honestly, it's a really delicious taste when you make it into a roti. And the breads are really good as well. So do go to that video where I've made the spelt bread 3 ways, and that is excellent for people suffering with diabetes type 2. You can so lead a normal, healthy diet on a type 2 diabetic, you know, living with type 2 diabetes. There's so many people that feel they have to avoid, you know, almost everything under the sun because there's always so much, you know, sugar and starches in the supermarket, but you really can. Open yourself up to a whole host of beautiful, delicious foods. And it can be very inexpensive, like this recipe that I'm going to give you here today. And if you really want to work with me and beat diabetes, overcome diabetes for good, you know, the science tells us it can be beaten. There's no doubt about it. And I will work with you to support you and get you there. And we can do this in 12 weeks or less. And if you need more time, we'll work together. Because it's like learning a whole new way to eat. but you soon pick it up. And people who joined my spring detox program have found eating, nutritious whole foods has been, a game changer for them and their health and their health goals. Now, there you are. So that's the roti skin, and we're going to put that now on my hot pan. So I'm going to take it over here, turn on my hot pan. I'm going to just brush it with a bit of coconut oil. As it's heating up.
We have a comment here from Khalil, who's just joined us. Says, hello, everyone. Thank you very much for joining us, Khalil. It's good to see you.
Hi, Khalil. Thank you so much for joining us. It's really good for you to come back. I appreciate you guys coming on. Right, so that's the coconut oil. Let's just allow that to heat up a little bit more. Let's give it time to heat. We want it quite hot because we're literally going to put it on the pan for less than a minute and flip it over on a hot pan and keep going, sort of flip it back and forth. And I'm going to show you why this is so much like a roti. And it keeps its pliability because of the nice gummy texture of the sea moss gel, believe it or not. But you'll see in a moment. Right, I'm going to just leave that on a medium heat because I'm going to quickly run in my kitchen and grab a plate while that is heating through. Right, so I think that should be sufficiently hot enough, okay? Now you don't have to, put any oil on your pan if you don't want to. I just find that the coconut oil gives it a little bit more flavour. And then you can do this as well. Just sweep it a little bit with a bit of coconut oil. On one side. Now watch this. This is where the magic happens. I hope this is going to work live. When I do it, it turns out perfect. You know how it is. This is the very first time I'm doing this for everyone to see. Now watch how, can you see those bubbles rising underneath? That's just the oxygen from the sea moss, because the sea moss contains oxygen. It's a living, breathing sea algae. It's absolutely amazing. Right, so look at that. You see how bubbly it's getting? I don't know if you can see that under the camera. But it's forming some bubbles.
We can see the bubbles, definitely.
Can see the bubbles, good. Look at that. Now flip it over. See how it's likening to a roti? And look at that, it's still pliable. You only need it on for seconds. Let's just give it a few seconds on this side. I've really got to write another recipe book, guys. I've got over 100 recipes that I've never given away. I'm going to get as many of them on YouTube for you, but I think I'll put them into books as well, so you can have them for yourselves and build up a collection. You know, imagine doing this for friends, right? People who might have just popped around the last minute's notice. This is a great, easy thing that you can rustle up. And you know what? You can make them and store them. So what I do with these is I get greaseproof paper, and I put the roti wraps in between the layers of greaseproof paper, and I roll it up into a sausage, And then I put it into a freezer bag and keep them in my freezer, and they keep. And they don't take long to defrost. So this is a great last minute. If you don't want to, do any heavy cooking, you can do something like this. Look at the bubbles coming up now. Let's flip it over quickly. See how it's nicely sort of browned on this side. And look how pliable it is. You don't have to overcook this. This is extremely hot, this pan. See how pliable it is? Do you think that's a convincing roti? Let's have a look at the other side. Let's give it a little bit more on this side, just to brown it up. It's actually ready, but I just want to brown it a little bit. Give it a little colour.
Yumi's posted a comment. She says that looks great.
Listen, you've got to try this. This is so good. It's such a game changer. You can do this for the children. You're giving them a nice, nourishing wholemeal is bread. They don't like wholemeal bread, do they? But if they had something like this, and because it has such a great distinctive flavour, that's it really. I could brown this a little bit more, but I think that's done. I would brown it a little bit more, but it's cooked. It's ready. There's no more that needs to be done. I'm going to turn that off now. I'm going to come back over here quickly because I'm just going to wipe up a little bit because I want to plate up something I did earlier. I'm going to show you where I've made a curry. And this is quite traditional in Caribbean cooking. Look, I've made curries. It's the Asian influence in the Caribbean where we get the curry ideas. And we even have our own Jamaican curry, believe it or not. So this is a mixed spice Jamaican curry. And what I've done, I've got some bay leaves there, okay? It's gone a bit thick because I've had it sitting. I've got a few sweet potatoes, spinach and chickpea in there. And what we do in the Caribbean when we're making a roti is we just put the curry in the middle of the roti, and you can either wrap it or eat it open. So it's been sitting for a while, so I'm just going to add a little bit of water just to bring back the curry again, the juice of the curry. And of course, I'm not in my kitchen, so it's gone cold, which is why I'm now adding the water. But like with many curries, you tend to, if you go back to it the next day, you add a little bit of water and it just revives the curry again, doesn't it? So that's all I'm doing. Right? So that's sweet potato, spinach and chickpea. This is a perfect diabetic-friendly food. And I think actually, this was one of the foods that I was recommended in my yesterday's video, which you must watch, on how to reverse diabetes. Now, here's the roti wrap. Look at this. I want to show you something before I start putting the ingredients on my roti. Look at that. Yeah? We tend to fold it this way, don't we, when we're doing roti? It's so pliable. And it stays that way. It doesn't get hard and crispy. It stays pliable. Yeah? So let me put the curry in the wrap. So again, this is chickpea, sweet potato, and spinach. And you can eat it open, or you can close your roti wrap. And that's it. That's all. Let me take the bay leaf out. If you want to wrap it, you can wrap it. I've put a lot in there. Let me take a little bit out. Greedy. Right, so eyes bigger than my belly.
I tried some of that curry earlier. It was absolutely delicious, by the way. It didn't need too much spice. The flavour was just coming through so nicely.
Thank you, Anthony. Who told you to go and eat my curry? It was for the live. No, seriously. I did give him some of the curry to try it out. But yeah, I'm not great at wrapping rotis, but you get the idea, yeah? You wrap your roti. Some people have it in a parcel, like you tuck it in at the ends. But I just want to show you the example of how pliable it is. It's amazingly pliable. And I'm going to have it like, right, give me a second. Let me go and get something else that I'm going to show you. But let me pop that there for a minute and I'll explain what that is. Give me a second while I go and get this out of the fridge. Right, so earlier I just put together a little bowl of salad, and it's got pomegranate seed, it's just got rainbow coloured baby tomato, and just some cucumber. You know, you can add anything else. It's got even basil in there as well, just to give it a little extra flavour and taste. You don't have to do these massive great salads that you see me doing. You might have watched my day 1 to 10 on detox meal ideas, and I did some fabulous salads. But you know what? The trick is all in the sauces, keeping your salads really amazing and interesting. And when you're tackling diabetes, this is something you can have just before you have your main meal, and then have your main meal, say, 10, 15 minutes later. And here's something that I'm going to put on as a dressing. Now in here, I've got a tablespoon of tahini. Tahini is sesame seed paste, so it's a seed. So it's great for people suffering diabetes to have seeds in their diet, okay? And of course, you've got the nutrition from the sesame seed paste as well. I've got a tablespoon of apple cider vinegar, but you can put a quarter squeeze of lime if you don't want to use apple cider vinegar, a pinch of salt, and I've put in some dried basil herbs, and I'm just going to give that a mix to make a dressing for my salad. This is just a basic dressing that you can do to drizzle over your salad. I've got so many different types of dressing recipes, and I will share those. If there are recipes that you would like, let me know. If there's something you'd like me to veganize, then let me know and I can do that. So I'm just going to put a drop of water in there just to loosen it up a little bit more. Whisk it up. This just makes for a really lovely, creamy herb dressing, guys. It really works and it's really delicious. Have it at the consistency you want. And you can save the rest, in a glass bowl or jar for another time. And you can play with the herbs. I've used dill, coriander, parsley, all sorts of herbs really, whether fresh, whether dried. That's it. And then I'm just going to drizzle it over my salad. Look, that's it. None of that shop-bought high sodium sugar that they put into dressings. That's going to automatically spike your blood, artificial preservatives, and all the rest of it. Sometimes I even put starches to thicken it up to get it, you know, thick like that. And you can just make your own with tahini dressing. That's just how simple it is. And it smells really lovely and fresh, right? So there's a bowl of salad. There's the roti wrap. And that's it. Voila. There you have it. Meal, diabetic friendly meal in minutes. So that's it for today. Thank you so much for watching. Appreciate you coming on, Khalil and Yumi. Thank you for joining me today. I'll be back with more tips and health information to help you along your healthy living journey. But please do share this video and how to cure diabetes naturally, and tell your family, tell your friends that I need 10 people who want to reverse their diabetes, that will want to work along with me. There's a link down below in this video. So when you pass it on, you can go to that link and find out more. Thank you for joining me, and I'll see you again on Monday. Have a lovely weekend.